I command you to feel the beat!
So you've probably heard of Fusion Fall before, right? The massive Cartoon Network MMO that crossed over basically every relevant show at the time in an anime-inspired style that ran from 2009 to 2013? Well, you heard of it now. Fusion Fall was a fairly ambitious move for Cartoon Network. Compared to Disney's Toontown and Nickelodeon's Nicktropolis, this popular multiplayer RPG took the most steps in the right direction. The gameplay is very smooth and easy to learn, but in no means too easy, and the mountains of lore that follows only makes the game even more captivating, with higher stakes fighting alongside your favorite cartoon characters. But as with many projects like this, a few behind-the-scenes escapades caused it to have quite a few changes in its development, both before and after it launched. The two major turning points in Fusion Fall that we're going to talk about today happened just as Fusion Fall was about to launch, and then a few years later when a major expansion to the game was planned. There's a really good video by Robocast that I recommend to get a much more detailed narrative on exactly how Fusion Fall rose and fell, but in this video, we're going to talk about a lot of the scrapped content that has been lost to the public for nearly a decade. The franchise affected by these changes the most just so happens to be the series I'd call myself an expert on, which is Ben 10. Ben 10 was Cartoon Network's poster child for the back half of the 2000s, receiving SpongeBob levels of admiration and promotion from the CN executives. So a lot of potential Ben 10 content in this game was developed, altered, or flat out scrapped from the game. Some of you may have already seen a few screenshots from some of this lost content, but the incredible team over at Fusion Fall Universe was able to provide me with more detailed information, along with some never-before-seen content, artwork, and concepts for the game. I'm Kuro the Artist, and I'm going to break down all of the unused Ben 10 content from Fusion Fall. The official announcement for Fusion Fall was back in 2006, and at the time, Ben 10 Classic was still going strong. Fusion Fall took many elements from this iteration of the show during its development. However, by the time Fusion Fall's actual release in 2009, Ben 10 Classic had transitioned itself into the sequel series set 5 years after the original, titled Ben 10 Alien Force. For most development companies, the game would have been way too far into production to change everything over from Classic to Alien Force, and in some parts of the game, this fact reigns true. But Grygon Entertainment, the original developers for Fusion Fall, made the extra effort anyways to change as many classic Ben 10 elements to Alien Force as they could. The things they couldn't change were either left alone or cut from the game entirely. The first major change of note were the nanos in the game, small chibi-style characters that follow alongside and aid the player with special abilities after you defeat their evil fusion counterparts. Meant to be used solely for the development team to test their nano mechanics was the classic Ben Tennyson Nano. This nano included the mechanic to help the user jump heights the player could not normally achieve. It's assumed that this nano was being developed just as Alien Force was gearing into production, as this nano was actually voiced by Yuri Lowenthal doing an impression of young Ben, rather than Tara Strong, the original voice of young Ben. I'll play some of his original audio for you.
Hero time! High jumps rule! I'm back! Jump! Ben! Jump power!
Along with young Ben are nanos for Ghost Freak and Upgrade, both of which have completed models and animations, but were additionally cut from the game. Nanos for Forearms, Vilgax, and Hex were also developed and used in the full game's release, but they were not updated for Alien Force and still retain their original appearance.
The galaxy is mine! Light speed! My work is done.
Nanos for Swampfire and Humongousaur were added on instead to represent the current state of Ben 10. Full artwork for the main trio, Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max, were also created. New artwork was created for Ben and Gwen, and additionally Kevin, when the game was rebranding to Alien Force, but Max remained the same. Full models for the classic version of these characters were developed and can be shown here, alongside with a few icons, and this concept sketch of mutated Kevin 11. In the final game, you can still find many of these characters in their classic appearances, although the main heroes did indeed get an Alien Force makeover. A few story elements were also changed to accommodate Alien Force. At the start of the game, the player is given an option to select one of 4 guides to help them through the game. Grandpa Max was intended to be one of these guides, but was eventually switched out for Teenage Ben. There was also a deleted character trait of young Ben, who would supposedly have a crush on Kids Next Door operative number 5. The remains of this idea exist at the start of the game, as Teenage Ben and Number 5 are the two characters that fill the player in once the game is started. Concepts for various Ben 10 themed weapons were also developed, such as a null void projector, and one of the bounty hunter 66's many alien gadgets. The Mask of Akpu was also considered from the classic episode Ultimate Weapon. The prequel tie-in comic depicting the events that lead up to the game's main plot also uses young Ben, showcasing his aliens like Forearms and Upgrade, both in which were planned to be nanos for the game. With the official release of Fusion Fall, critics praised the game for its unique art style and fun mechanics. Updates were produced regularly every 3 weeks, giving the community something consistent to look forward to. As Fusion Fall continued to grow, Grygon Entertainment became more ambitious, planning to release a massive expansion update which would introduce many new in-game elements to the players. Unfortunately, popularity doesn't mean profitable, and Grygon Entertainment eventually went bankrupt, and production on the expansion was shut down. Cartoon Network was then tasked with maintaining the game on their own, doing their best to keep the game afloat, but many expansion elements were lost during the transition. For starters, there was a poll to vote on which of Ben's transformations to make into a new Nano, to let the fans feel more interactive with the choices the developers make. Obviously, Alien X won. So, an Alien X Nano was developed and scheduled to release with this expansion. This Nano is the only one that survived the authoritative transition and still became playable in-game. Other Nanos that were developed by Cartoon Network were Waybig and Ultimate Big Chill, although they are not obtainable and only make cameos in the training area. New armor sets, including the Alien Force updated Vilgax armor and some Petrosapien garments, were created and intended to use for the expansion, although went unused. Many other areas of Cartoon Network had planned expansions as well. Tom from Toonami was going to be a character, and his ship, the Absolution, was going to be an area in the game. The expansion was mostly based around a region called the Way Blue Sea, and contained areas like the Stormalong Harbor and Monster Island. Tom's ship was going to be crashed into the ocean and taking on water, as seen in this concept art. However, after Grygon stepped down and Cartoon Network took a hold of Fusion Fall's production, many changes were made to the game. This was dubbed the New Beginnings update. The game became free to play entirely, while before, you can only make it to level 4 before having to purchase a monthly subscription to continue playing. There was also a new training mode to help integrate newer players into the game, but this was widely disliked by veteran Fusion Fall fans. Although admittedly, Cartoon Network did make an effort to keep Fusion Fall alive with its updates, such as adding in the Null Void, and eventually updating Vilgax's appearance to his Alien Force attire. With Ben 10 Ultimate Alien at its peak, CN also began releasing new items with every episode. These were obtainable by entering special codes that were showcased during the episode's airtime. New nanos were also implemented to keep the game fresh, such as Amphibian and Wrath, but these were haphazardly put together based on models from other Ben 10 games. Over time, updates became far fewer between, until Fusion Fall met its end in 2013. A spiritual successor, Fusion Fall Heroes, was made, but let's just not talk about that one. Fusion Fall was just short of being one of the greatest MMOs available for kids and teens. It's unfortunate that many Cartoon Network fans missed out on the experience, be it not wanting to pay for membership, having a super slow computer at the time like myself, or just simply not being born yet. Luckily, a group of very talented fans have come together to bring the thrills of Fusion Fall back to life. Fusion Fall Legacy will be a complete rebuild of the entire game from the ground up, along with adding many a modern character and franchise from what is popular in Cartoon Network today. Ben 10 will also be getting another rebrand in this update, freshening up himself with his Ben 10 Omniverse appearance. Fusion Fall Legacy is currently still in development and the team are not releasing any public updates. But for now, they have restored the original Fusion Fall game to its glory, now titled Fusion Fall Retro, which you can play in its entirety, for free, right now, online, with your friends. But if playing an old game for nostalgia's sake isn't exactly your thing, Fusion Fall Retro is much more than that. The developers plan to continue to update many of the game's mechanics and story lost during Grygon Entertainment's departure, and restore much of this lost or unused media. In fact, at the time of this upload, they just released a huge Ben 10 themed update. Over 20 new missions are added to the game, along with new characters and a new storyline featuring Albedo. but I don't want to spoil everything in this video. Many elements had to be created from scratch. For example, this spider monkey was modeled, animated, and programmed completely from the ground up by the Fusion Fall Universe team. Only experiencing this game yourself can do justice to the amount of work put into this update, and the Fusion Fall Retro project in general. So register an account and join the fight against the evil Planet Fusion. You might even run into an Ink Tank member or two online taking part in the battle. As many of you know, the Ink Tank and I have our own revival project involving Ben 10, titled 5 Years Later. And during this Fusion Fall Retro update, you can now obtain 5YL Ben's entire outfit to wear on your very own Fusion Fall character. To get this outfit, you need to defeat a boss that's a pretty high level, level 36, yeesh. But if you act quickly, you can wear the outfit for free as soon as you join the game by putting on your Hollow Suit. The Hollow Suit is a special outfit that changes appearance with every update to help showcase new elements in the game. The Hollow Suit will inevitably change again when a new update comes along, but for now, you can use it to experience 5YL Ben's fashion sense. But after the Hollow Suit changes, you're gonna have to do some XP grinding to look like our future Omnitrix warrior. If you guys continue to support Fusion Fall, there will be more collaborations in the future, meaning more 5YL items and costume possibilities to be added to the game. To support this, we will be opening up a chat room in our own Discord server dedicated to Fusion Fall, so join in and stay connected. But for now, thanks for watching this video. Shout out to the Fusion Fall Universe team with providing me with all of this information and footage. This video would not be possible without them, and I'm very thankful they're taking the time to integrate parts of my comic into their game. You can stay up to date with everything they do on their social medias. On the contrary, you can also follow us on our social medias, and join the Patreon for exclusive weekly updates on 5 Years Later for only $1 a month. And of course, visit my website to read 5 Years Later, and let me know what you think. But until then, keep it fizzy.